Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Wanted to show you a series of drills that you can use at the start of your practices or the start of your workouts that are a series of warm-up drills, but they're going to be very practical in terms of improvement and getting your players ready to practice. So the first one we're going to start off with is 2-ball dribbling. I think any ball handling drill that forces your players to use both basketballs in both hands is going to be beneficial. So we like to partner up. We will start with a gradual series where we start with 2-ball dribbling at the same time. Now really promote and preach keeping their eyes up. We do it with a partner where they're handing it off and we're going sideline to sideline. And this is something that we will build up the speed. And then eventually we like to add at the end a little bit of competition where they're forced to now take the fundamentals that they've learned and worked on, and now they have to go at a game speed or a competition speed. So anytime at the end of your drills or throughout your drills that you can add competition, it's going to make it a little bit more challenging and it's going to force your players to go full speed. So we will ramp up the speed as we go through this drill. Like I said, anytime you can force your players to keep their eyes up and use both hands as they're dribbling, it's going to be a challenge and it's going to force them to improve. You see a lot of players really struggle with that offhand. Dribbling at the same time seems like an easy thing, but it is a little bit of a challenge because there's a rhythm to it. So here we will crank up the speed. We'll make it a little bit more competitive in terms of what they're having to do. And then we will go through a series of different types of 2-ball dribbling to get them warmed up. And dribbling is a skill. I think it's something that any player can continue to improve. I think you see a lot of NBA players still working on their ball handling. Now we will add a move to the ball handling. So here we're adding a crossover in front. So obviously you have to demonstrate that they can't dribble on the same plane. They have to have one ball in front of the other as they cross over, but we still want there to be a change of direction. We don't want this to be a straight line dribble. In a game, when you make a crossover, you're never just staying on the same plane and going straight in a straight line. So you want to, within this drill, have a change of direction. So if you start right, that crossover will get you to go left and vice versa. So make sure that there is a change of direction whenever they're doing a move. That's the whole point of that move is to get your defender to lean to the left and then you go right, or vice versa. You're going to your right and then you're changing directions to go left. So really preach and promote that change of direction instead of just a straight line dribble. Now crossovers will probably be one of the easier moves for the kids to do. Because again, the balls are in front, they're able to keep their eyes on them. It's not as challenging. And then we will add a little bit more of a challenge with a between the legs or a behind the back. So here you're demonstrating, again, there's still a change of direction, but you have one ball going between the legs and the other one in front is making a crossover. There's an exchange to the other hand. So again, this is really challenging for kids or players that have not done this a lot. So you may see a few balls flying around the gym. That's okay. It's just something to continue to preach and promote and work on. But I think this is a really good challenge for players because oftentimes you're just dribbling with one basketball. So if you can force them to dribble with 2 basketballs and still make moves and still change direction, it's going to be challenging. And here you see there's a lot more basketballs flying around the gym because, again, players have a tendency to lose their dribble a little bit, and that's okay. Again, the whole goal with this is to see where your players are at, continue to build, continue to push them to get better. So it may be sloppy at first, but it's something that they can continue to get better at and improve. And then you'll see if you can dribble the basketball with 2 basketballs or do a drill with 2 basketballs, then dribbling with 1 basketball is going to be far easier. The last move that we will do is a behind the back with a crossover in front. So again, same thing. There should be a change of direction as they make that move, and their eyes should be up. The ball in front will cross over. And again, you may see a few balls flying around the gym. That's okay. Continue to have your players work on this. The tendency in the behind the back move is you will see players lower their head or really look at the ball as they make this move. So really work with them on keeping their eyes up and trusting as they make that behind the back dribble. They almost need to wrap it around and trust that it'll be there and go get it, instead of making a behind the back that stays behind them and is going to allow the defender to either jump on that behind the back, or it's just not going to be a change of direction where it would make a defender move or react. So again, the last move that we will do right here is we call this as an escape dribble. So this is to escape pressure, to escape a trap. You have to have the ability as a player to dribble backwards and still have your eyes up. So this is simulating, maybe you're getting ready to cross half court and you see that they're in a 1-3-1 zone or a trap is coming at you. You never want your players to try to dribble into that pressure or into that trap. So an escape dribble is going to allow them to retreat, to dribble backwards, still have their eyes up, still be able to view the floor and see offensive players ahead of them. So anytime you can force your players to be able to dribble forward and then dribble back with their eyes up, I think this is a good skill to have in your game, especially at a young age. I see a lot of younger players really struggle with that ability. Once they see pressure, their tendency is to pick the ball up and then to put the ball over their head. And if you can teach players to, as you see that pressure, be able to escape, be able to back up while keeping your dribble, while keeping your head up, it's going to be beneficial. So now the last move that we're going to do is we're going to add just a change of direction, and we'll do some speed dribbling, some speed competition. So we're really focused on improving, and now we're going through our moves with one ball. And you can really see the speed difference here. Once we go to one basketball, that players are able to, again, make those changes of pace, make that change of speed a lot better now that they only have one basketball in their hands. So again, it just shows that development of, okay, hey, we're going to force you into a challenge with two basketballs, and then we'll do it with one basketball, and it should be a lot easier. It should be a lot quicker, a lot faster. And like I said, you can make these competitive. You can do relay races. You can put groups of 2 to 3 to 4 together and make it a competition. I think that can be a buildup that you add to the beginning of practice. I think especially early in practice, I think a lot of coaches are very slow to create competition. They want to build it up and go slow and get everybody warmed up, which is perfect. But I think if you can subtly add some competition in there at the beginning, it's going to really get your players acclimated to practice quicker. It's going to get the competitive juices flowing. It's going to be a lot better for the beginning of your practice if you can add some competition. So here we're adding, again, just speed dribble. Here we don't care which hand they're dribbling with. We're just going straight speed partner, where they're going down and back twice, and they're competing against other groups. So again, really teaching them to work on the speed dribble aspect and pushing it out. And as I always say, adapt these drills to fit your team. If your team masters these, challenge them to do, more difficult things. If your kids struggle with those ball handling drills, then make it a little simpler. Now the next drill, this is more of a warm-up drill, but again, I think this is more for athletic development as well. We like to use resistance bands to get warmed up. These are something that we've worked with our strength and conditioning coach on these movements. So we will use resistance bands to work on defensive slides, and we'll show you some other aspects you can use resistance bands to work on ball handling as well. So I will link a description in the bio or the comments or whatever you call it. These are on Amazon, or there's a website where you can buy these. Again, we have them for our school because it's for all athletes, but this is a way you can use it for basketball. And again, we're using resistance here, but it's also, as they do their defensive slide, there is an aspect where it's pulling them back. So they have to work on the deceleration part as well. So as they're getting pulled back, they have to learn how to stop quickly and stop their momentum as well. So it's a good job to force them to accelerate and accelerate against resistance, but it's also good as they're coming back. They have to work on stopping when there's momentum going that way. So we will go to our left and our right on this, and then I'll show you here in a little bit how we add ball handling to this to really work on pushing the ball out forward and going against resistance. So you see here, once we've gone the other side, we'll flip to the other side, staying with our defensive slides. You can go to a certain number. And I think an important part of this is it's not a conditioning drill. We are focused on the reps. We are not doing this to try to tire out the players. We're not doing this to condition them. This is solely to work on that acceleration and that deceleration piece. So we will limit our reps really to like 4 or 5. Again, this isn't something that we're going to do for a long, extended period of time. It's a warm-up drill. It's something to get the players acclimated to practice, but it also is a good drill that's going to have some practical applications to what you're trying to improve as a team or as a player. So now we're going to add a ball handling to this resistance. So now they're facing forward. They're going to accelerate forward. Again, that band is going to pull them back, and then they have to make a crossover as they decelerate. So it's a challenging drill. Again, we want to be efficient with our reps. We don't want to really tire out the players here. That's not the goal of this drill. The goal for this drill is to work on acceleration and deceleration, the going and the stopping. And again, if you can do that with the ball in your hands, that's going to make it even more applicable to basketball. So these are things that we will do at the start of a practice or a start of a workout that we think can benefit your athletes. So again, if you don't have these resistance drills, I can link. There's cheaper resistance bands. I think these resistance bands are maybe like $100. I know not everybody can afford that, so there are some smaller resistance bands you can buy. Amazon has you can buy them for like $20 on Amazon, or at the end of the day, like find a way to work against resistance. I've seen a lot of trainers or coaches maybe put a player with their hands on the shoulders and really almost give resistance to the ball handler and force them to push through the defender. I've seen different ways to add resistance, but I think you'll see doing it with a band can be beneficial, and it's something that can help your players, like I said, work on that acceleration and work on that deceleration. Now, this last part is probably my favorite because it adds some scoring to the resistance band. So we'll use resistance bands where players have to drive out to the basket and score against resistance. So the players might have to move a little bit with the offensive player, but again, this is a good way to create some resistance on the drive. So it's creating that resistance on the acceleration and the player having to, again, push the ball forward and jump with some level of resistance. So you don't want to make the resistance too hard to where the player can't move at all, but you also want to give them enough resistance where going and scoring at the basket is a challenge. So again, like I said, you may see these bands and these resistance workouts, and you might want to adapt them and adjust them to your players. If you have really young players, you may have to adjust what you do in terms of the resistance. If you're working with high school or college level players, or maybe even pro players, you may be able to really adjust and adapt and make this more challenging. I think it's a really good drill. Like I said, it's not for conditioning. This is for good reps. This is for that work for acceleration and exploding into your moves and working on decelerating. If you watch really good NBA players, that is kind of a new wave that players are really good at decelerating. So they can go from point A where they're going really fast and stop very quickly, because that's just something so hard to guard. I think Luka Doncic is one of the best players at decelerating. He can draw fouls. He can let the defender's momentum carry him out of the play and create more open windows for a pass or a score. So like I said, continue to adopt and adapt these drills to fit your players. And then the last piece of the warm-up is we will, take away the resistance bands and work on that acceleration. So now it should feel a little bit easier for the players. They should feel like they're going a little bit faster on their acceleration to the basket. We really like to promote our players getting there in one dribble and scoring. Again, thanks for tuning into this video. I hope it's something that you guys can use to help your practices and your workout regimens. Thanks.